Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist and pioneer of analytical psychology, made many groundbreaking discoveries about the human mind. But perhaps his most unsettling revelation was not about mental illness, but about a rare group of people who see what others cannot. These individuals, gifted with what Jung called differentiated perception, could read micro-expressions, sense hidden emotions, and perceive unconscious psychological patterns invisible to everyone else. They saw through masks, detected lies instantly, and felt the unspoken tensions in every room. At first glance, such an ability might seem like a superpower. But Jung called it dangerous. Not because these individuals were delusional or unstable, but because their perception isolated them from others, drained them psychologically, and often destroyed their ability to live normal lives. Seeing everything, Jung realized, came at a heavy cost. The case that revealed the discovery. In 1913, during his own break with Freud and descent into a personal crisis, Jung treated a patient who exemplified this rare type. She was highly introverted and intuitive, able to walk into a room and instantly perceive who was lying, who was resentful, and who was silently suffering. She described people with startling accuracy, observations Jung himself confirmed through questioning. This was not psychosis. It was an extraordinary clarity of perception, one Jung recognized as socially dangerous. The patient could not tolerate small talk because she saw through it. Friendships failed because people felt exposed around her. Jobs collapsed because her presence disrupted the unspoken agreements that allow groups to function. Jung concluded she was not ill, she was too conscious. Why seeing everything is dangerous? Jung came to see this gift as perilous for three main reasons: disruption of collective illusions. Societies, families, and organizations survive on unspoken agreements, things people collectively choose to ignore. A highly perceptive person unintentionally shatters these illusions simply by existing authentically, making them a destabilizing presence. Psychological isolation. Jung described the problem of the superior function, when someone's greatest gift becomes their greatest curse. Those who see too clearly find themselves alone, unable to share their awareness with those who cannot understand it. Identity dissolution. Perhaps most dangerously, such individuals risk losing their sense of self. They absorb the unconscious contents of others so completely that their own identity blurs, a state Jung called participation mystique. Without integration, they drown in the psychic material of others. 4 types of perceptive intuitives. Jung found that this rare introverted intuitive type, around 1% of the population, manifested in 4 distinct patterns. The feeling intuitive absorbs others' emotions so deeply they struggle to separate them from their own. The thinking intuitive sees hidden patterns and predicts outcomes with uncanny accuracy. The sensation intuitive detects psychological states through the body, sensing illness or tension before anyone acknowledges it. The pure intuitive, overwhelmed by raw perception without the structure to organize it, living in a constant flood of insights. Each type faced unique challenges, but all risked collapse if they failed to integrate their abilities. The scapegoat phenomenon. Another of Jung's disturbing insights was how society reacts to these individuals. Because they mirror back what others try to repress, they often become scapegoats. Instead of examining their own shadows, people project blame onto the one who sees too much. The highly perceptive individual is accused of negativity, judgment, or creating problems, when in truth they are only revealing what already exists. The path to integration. Jung believed survival depended on what he called individuation, a process of integrating unconscious contents while maintaining a strong sense of self. For perceptive individuals, this involved recognition and differentiation, learning to separate one's own feelings from absorbed material. Solitude was essential for rediscovering their inner voice. Shadow integration, acknowledging one's own flaws to avoid projecting judgment outward. By owning their darkness, they could perceive others without hostility. Conscious participation, engaging with others' unconscious contents without being overwhelmed, acting as a bridge between the conscious and unconscious. When integrated, the gift of perception became not a curse but what Jung called cultural medicine. Examples of collapse and transformation. Jung compared two historical figures to illustrate the difference between collapse and integration. Nietzsche, he argued, possessed extraordinary perception but never integrated it. He became isolated, identified with his superior function, and eventually broke down. In contrast, Meister Eckhart, the medieval mystic, successfully integrated his superior perception into wisdom and compassion, serving others without being consumed by what he saw. Even Jung himself wrestled with this danger during his confrontation with the unconscious between 1913 and 1919. He admitted he came close to psychosis before learning to integrate his overwhelming perceptions through disciplined inner work. From curse to cultural contribution. Ultimately, Jung came to believe that individuals with differentiated perception were not broken but ahead of their time, consciousness pioneers. They sense truths the collective cannot yet bear, preparing humanity for necessary psychological evolution. But without integration, their gifts destroy them through isolation, scapegoating, or overwhelm. The key, Jung taught, is to hold perception with humility, to see clearly without identifying with the role of prophet or savior. Integrated, these individuals can transform their gift from a private curse into a contribution for collective growth. As Jung wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." For those who see everything, that privilege requires turning dangerous perception into conscious wisdom, so that what isolates them becomes what ultimately heals both themselves and the world.